Emily?
If you have not become a patron of the Geocache Talk Network, what are you waiting for? Patron levels start as low as a Bison Tube level at $3 a month. To sign up is easy. Simply go to the Geocache Talk website and click on the Become a Patron button, or go to patreon.com/Geocache Talk. Patrons now get the famous Blackout coin, invites to special events, and other really great items throughout the year. Become a patron today. Have you subscribed to FTF Magazine yet? FTF Magazine is the #1 geocaching magazine available. It is a quarterly magazine that you can be part of. Submit your geocaching milestones and adventures to be published. FTF Magazine is also interactive with puzzles to solve and the hunt to find Spartacus. If you can solve the puzzle or find Spartacus, then you will be entered in to win a special path tag. Every new subscription, you will receive a special swag pack. Subscribing is easy. Just visit FTF's website, ftfgeo.com. Don't miss out and subscribe today.
Logwork, the creators of the fantastic logbook, made with genuine write-in-the-rain paper. The logbook's designed for the micro-containers of the present and future, geared towards the hider who'd rather go caching than doing cache maintenance. Find them at logwork.com. That's LOGWERK.com.
Hello, and welcome to Challenge Talk, part of the Geocache Talk Network. You can watch the show live on the second Tuesday of each month. Feel free to jump over to YouTube, Facebook, or X to watch the broadcast live and join the wonderful and active chat room, or listen to the entire show later on your favorite podcast player or YouTube.
On tonight's show, we have a very special guest from Geocaching HQ. There was a major announcement earlier today that you may have heard, you may have missed. Well, on tonight's show, that special guest is going to talk about the fun stuff coming from HQ in 2025. The president of Geocaching HQ, Mr. Bryan Roth.
Yes. And we also have prizes to give away each show to our listeners. Between each show, be sure to email your challenge cache finds to challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com and you could be a winner.
Later in the show, we'll play our special game exclusively for our live audience, the Wheel of Challenges. So listen live, get your email app ready, and follow the instruction when the time comes so you can have a chance at winning tonight's grand prize.
And with that, let's get right to it and bring in our guest. Welcome, Bryan. Thanks for being on tonight.
Thank you. It is my pleasure to be on. Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
What a big
Just the
day.
three of us. We have a small audience outside.
I was looking in the chat. We got Georgia and Texas, and yes, upstate New York,
Idaho,
Arkansas, Idaho. Yep.
North Carolina.
I see a lot of names that I recognize on there.
Yeah, very good.
Really nice. Hi, everybody.
Very good.
So tell us a little bit about this announcement you made today.
Yeah. So as maybe some of you heard, we announced that we're releasing a new feature set. It's called Treasures. Let's see, it's gonna roll out in March with at least planned in March, assuming everything goes according to plan, which it doesn't always, but we expect that it will. We really wanted to do something special for 2025, and let's say it's not the only special thing we're doing for 2025, but it is one of them, and I have the pleasure of getting to talk about it. The announcement went out this morning. The basic concept is we're creating digital treasures, and in order to each digital treasure will be part of a collection of digital treasures, so mostly like themed collections. And each collection will have a series of sort of almost like a combination lock of what it would take, what type of cache can you find to receive one of those treasures. So there's a lot of dials, so we can play around with difficulty and terrain, of course, favorite points. We can talk about regional treasures. We can talk about caches placed in a certain year. And so over here at HQ, we could start out. So the intro collection, for example, the first collection that people see in March is going to be relatively easy. The goal is really to get people familiar with the feature set. And so I don't remember what exactly it is, but for example, we could say all traditional caches of any DT, that's the only requirement. And so if there's 5 treasures, but when you go out and you find a traditional cache and you log it, whether on the website or in the mobile app, you're going to find a digital treasure and you will get one of, say, the 5 treasures in the collection. And the next time you find a traditional cache, you'll get a second one. And the next time, and so on until you get the final one. And then when you get the 5th treasure, you've completed the collection. You will then have 1 completed collection, 5 treasures, and you will unlock another collection.
All
And
right.
so there won't always be collections to unlock in the future. Going forward, we aspire to have a large variety of collections available. To start, there will be a number of collections released over 2025. We've got ideas for future years, both in terms of collections and functionality. But the starting point will really be that intro collection. In order to, so some of the other things that we can play with is we can say, hey, this collection is only available to people who have found 3 or more caches. Historically, pretty low barrier, but we don't necessarily want to interfere with a new user's experience. Like,
Sure.
first cache, what does this pop up? I don't know.
And also all these other things. Yeah.
Right. What it allows us to do with all of those dials and the opportunity to create a variety of collections is we can say, hey, let's go create some collections that'll be really a good fit for casual geocachers. Like, hey, if you don't cache all that often, there's a collection and you can go out and they won't be too difficult to find those treasures. There can be other collections where we can say, hey, you can't even access this collection unless you have 5,000 caches or and it's the only way to find these treasures is going to be finding, D4, T4, 200 favorite points and placed in 2025. And it's like, if you think about that, 200 favorite points placed in 2025, we just got started. Like, there's very few caches there. That might be a little bit too difficult. But within that range, we sort of have the opportunity to create collections of treasures to challenge people to go out and, hey, if you want to complete this collection, it's not going to be, let's say, as easy as some of our marketing promotions. We release a marketing promotion in the summer and some people are like, wow, it's been 6 hours and I found them all. I collected all the things, or I got my souvenirs. And it's like, well, that wasn't too challenging for me. I'm going to go back to caching the way I cache. Where other more casual players might say, like, 100 caches, like, that's more than I'm going to find. Like, that's too difficult for me. And so the benefit of a feature set like this is we can create multiple series of collections. They can be available either on a time limited basis, or they could be available in perpetuity. And then people can go and say, when you first get started, you're playing the casual ones. And if you're ready for, say, something of a higher difficulty, you could say, well, I'm gonna challenge myself to go do this collection. And wow, this is a difficult collection. And there's the possibility of having multiple collections at the same time, where you can go out and say, all right, I know that if I go find a multi-cache of this DT and, this favorite points, or maybe just a multi-cache, I'm going to get, I'm eligible to find, this group of this treasures from within this collection. versus, oh, I want a little bit easier experience. I'm only finding these. I'm just gonna, get treasures from a different collection. And so one of the cool things about it, one of the things that I'm personally excited about is things like a micro cache experience. Like, if you go out and you find micro caches, and some people are passionate about them, some people are like, it's a point, some people are like, I don't even want to see those. Well,
Not my
we could,
favorite cache, I have to say.
I mean, fair enough, fair enough. And so what if there's a collection of treasures where, you know, 4 of them or 9 of them or 20 of them you could find in these caches, but one of them you have to find in a micro. And you go and you find the micro cache and unroll the little logbook, sort of like the logo for treasures, and you put the thing back. And normally, let's say those experiences could be somewhat underwhelming, not always, but sometimes. And what if at that point it's like, I got the last piece of the collection that I wanted? All
Yeah.
of a sudden, that maybe more mundane geocaching moment becomes a little special. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to add just a little bit more excitement on top of the game. We're not changing the core game.
Right.
People don't have to focus and say, well, I know to get this collection, I need to focus on these types of caches. I'm going to go for it. People can still play the way they want to play. They may or may not encounter treasures. We built in the ability, if you don't want the pop-up notifications, which I kind of like, because it's like, oh, huzzah, I got something cool, but you can actually turn those off. So for the people who aren't a fan of this, or don't want the messaging, they don't have to look at it. They don't have to see it. But for the people who do, there's a lot of possibilities for what we can do with it. And creating those combination locks for each collection is something that we're going to experiment with. This will be V1. We're planning to release it in March, and we're going to learn and we're going to experiment. And we may put a collection out there that's just too hard for some people. Well, ideally,
you'll learn. Yeah.
Challenge accepted.
We're gonna
Go for it.
And that's the point. I had lunch with a former lackey who's a dear friend, maybe 3 or 4 months ago, and I said, hey, are you guys caching? Him and his family, like, are you guys active? And he's like, we still go caching. We're not as active as we used to be because we feel like we've done most of everything. We've done the Jasmer, we've done the Fizzy, we've done these things multiple times over, and we cache opportunistically and we still do it as a family, but I wish there was something more. And it's like, well, here you go. Here's something more. And again, not everything is for everybody,
right.
But we think that this is something that people are going to really enjoy. And we're just excited. I've been playing with it for a couple of months now. We've had conversations about it for well over a year. And I would say multiple years if you talk in theory about what we've always hoped to do. And now we're on the cusp of getting to put it in front of people. And that's going to be sort of the true test of did we get this right? Did we get it mostly right? And thankfully, this isn't something where it's like, here you go, have a nice day, we're focused on other stuff. This is a feature set that we plan on developing and augmenting and playing with over time.
Yeah. And you guys have always been in touch with the community to hear where the community has taken it to places you didn't even expect. And then 100%. What are we going to do with that?
Yeah.
And so I can totally see that happening with treasures.
Yeah. So one of my first questions, okay, we've talked about treasures. On release day, am I going to see that this feature set is live? Am I going to see the first collection? Or am I going to see nothing? And then the first cache that I find that qualifies for a treasure and I get notified about it, it then unlocks this new world for me.
Sure. And we have a similar question in the chat. How will the current treasures be viewable on the app?
Great. I like both of those questions because the answer is mostly the same. So in the app, in the geocaching, our apps, you will see in your profile section, there's sort of a list of things, souvenirs, there's just a variety of things in there. One of them will be treasures. And on your profile on the geocaching.com website, you will also see a section that says treasures. And when you click on it, it will show you the available collection, which for everybody will be the intro collection, the first collection. And then when you go and you'll see, you'll be able to learn, like, what do I need to do to find caches in this collection? So there's a button that you can click, and it'll say, in order to find treasures in this collection, you need to find caches that meet these qualifications. Some of them will say, not in the intro collection, but over time we have the ability to say, if you complete this collection, you can earn a souvenir. And that's not the case with all collections, but we have the ability to grant souvenirs for collections. We actually have the ability to create collections that can only be found by people who have a specific souvenir. Now we have, the functionality is, I'll just say, like, there's a lot of functionality under the covers of this. The first instances, and really for the first bunch of months, you're all going to see a relatively, like, rudimentary, straightforward. We want to make it acceptable. You're welcome, Jim. We want to make it accessible to everybody. We want to onboard people and have people understand, like, oh, this is where I find this. Here's how I get the information. Here's how I do searches. Here's what the treasures look like. Oh, there's a little case that looks like a display case. Oh, I guess that's where my treasures are going to go when I find them. And look at all these sort of grayed out things. I guess those are the treasures. Well, if I go out and I follow the sort of the instructions and I go find my first cache, well, then it pops up, hey, congratulations, you just found your first treasure in this collection. And if you click on it, we'll show you the collection. And you can see over time, when there's multiple collections available, you'll get to see, oh, here's the collections that are available to find. You can look at the qualifications. You can look at basically all the details for that collection. And you can even click on the individual treasure that you found, and it'll say, you received this treasure by logging cache GCK25B.
Oh,
and I'll tell you what, I have been known on a game app or whatever to do more than I planned on to fill up a collection. This is so much better. This is real world exploration. This is geocaching. I'm here for it. Fill my box, fill my display case, launch this before March. Yes. Let's go.
Believe me, I would love to. I'm not the one who has to build it, design it, market it.
I feel what I want to do. And very importantly, will there be a Bryan Roth collection? Ask Bloody Cool.
There probably won't be a Bryan Roth collection, but here's what I'll say is, one of the things that we've talked about, and this is not in the works, but if I have my way, at some point we will do this. There's 95 lackeys. Every one of us has an avatar.
Yeah.
Why we could have a collection where, hey, it's go collect the lackeys. It's a collection with 95.
Oh, I like
lackeys.
that. I love that. Brian.
We've talked about
social and community is so huge. I know you've talked about that in many places. This is just one element of what you can do with social caching.
You bet.
Yeah.
And so, can there be, we've talked about doing stuff with, like, oh, we could do a lackey coin collection, 2005, 2007, 2009, 10 through 25. It's like, hey, there's 14, 15 coins that could be part of a collection. We've talked about doing things where, and again, no near-term plans, but long-term plans. We could do something where, hey, listen, we've placed, I was just going to go there, Joe. We've placed, 10,000 Signal the Frog treasures out there in the world, and the first people to find them get them.
Yeah.
Or hey, we're releasing a new lackey coin. The first 50 people to find the lackey coin treasure, we're going to mail you a lackey coin. And again, these are just possibilities, but those are some of the things that I'm excited about that the tool set allows us to do. And I'll say, one other opportunity that we have is, and again, this won't happen in the first version of the first collection or the first few collections, but we have the ability to not only specify the requirements for caches where you need to find the treasure in that collection, but if we want to turn the difficulty up, we could say, hey, in this collection, the first treasure you're going to get, if you find one of these caches, 100%. The second treasure has 50% odds. The third treasure has 20% odds. One of those treasures, like one of the 95 lackeys, there's a 1% chance that you're going to get it. And then, so for people who are like, I have 94 of them, like, what do I have to do to get this? And for the person that gets the first 1% treasure, it's like, you got it, like, oh my god, it's something to be celebrated. So it could be sort of, there's a rarity element to it that, again, that's a dial that we have sort of in the tool set. We can't wait to start turning the dials and see what people like and see what people don't like, and put, I hesitate to say, like, put collections in front of people that will challenge them to actually, like, it won't be easy. Some of them will be easy, but I don't think people are asking, like, don't hand it all to me on a silver platter. Like,
Right.
we want to play this game. I want to know if there's some rarity, like, tell me which one of my friends got this so that I could high five them. And, that's a feel good
Yeah.
community moment. And, maybe there's a, gosh, I've logged this, this type of cache 10 different times and I'm traveling around. I'm still trying to get this one. And, here I am at a micro cache and I logged it and I got the rare one. And man, that's the best micro cache that I've ever found because of the experience that's on top of the traditional experience.
Yeah. Well, and I think that is. I mean, I understand a lot of what HQ wants to try to do. You have people that have been in this game for a day. You've got people that have been in this game for 25 years. You've got people that have found 10 caches, and you got people that have found 100,000 caches. How do you come up with one thing that is going to appease everyone? It's near impossible.
And we have tried it. We've spent a lot of time.
Building blocks here. I'm excited to see it. I can't wait for March. But, even more importantly is seeing how it rolls out and what it can become.
Mhm.
Because I think you've addressed that there are so many tools in the box. There's so many ways to tweak this in 1,000 different ways. But this is an HQ feature set. Can I, as an individual, contribute in any way to this?
Not yet.
Okay.
And
I like
say
the not yet.
I mean, I say yet, of course. There's a lot of options for what we can do with this in the future. We've talked about some of them. Near term, the near term goals are, give this to the community, let people play with it, learn what's working, learn what's not working, make the adjustments, put different collections out. But there's a lot of potential there for different ways to play. We've thought about, like, invariably we will get the ask from, cache owners who have put a lot of time into their cache, like, hey, can I give people a treasure when they find my cache? In theory, yeah, eventually we could do that. Another thing to note is each of these treasures is a unique item in the database. So almost like very similar to trackables. And so imagine a future where, hey, I'm having a really hard time getting one of these treasures to complete my collection. But a friend of mine, we released a collection where you can get 2 or 3 of each individual treasure in a collection. And now you've got extras. And maybe you go to an event and people are like, hey, anybody have one of these? And you're like, yeah, I do, boop. And you just hand it to your friend or you hand it to somebody else. Like, that's a possibility. Again, not near term, but it's built in such a way that it is extendable to do things like that. And
Oh, that's so cool.
You know,
I
we'll
remember Geo Woodstock last year. I don't know if you participated in it, but everybody was looking for the yellow path tag at Geo Woodstock last year. Yeah, 2 years ago, and you had to try to find it, and it was one of those inclusive things. And when you found someone at an event that had an extra yellow path tag, they were mobbed. So I remember some of
Yeah.
the lackeys even saying that. So this is going to be extended to the API partners as well, right? So this is, I mean, for conceptually, if we think about it like Night at the Museum, where we got an art thing
sort of the gems,
on
Mystery
the,
at the
yeah,
Museum, the
yeah, on
gems,
that
the
order.
Mhm.
So the API partners will play in this as well.
yes,
Okay.
they will. I'll say I just had a meeting with our internal API team today to discuss how we make that available to API partners. And, you know, there's different ways to think about it. You know, part of it is, first of all, long term, like, yeah, we want people to be able to find these in Cachly. We want people to be able to find them in CGeo or GC Droid or the other apps. We want stats available in Project GC. Who's got the most? Who's got the rare one? Like that kind of stuff. But when we launch it at March, there's a question of like, are we going to learn something that we need to change really quickly? And
Right.
so
Mm.
does that impact our ability to put it in the hands of API partners? My preference, because I believe that the community is willing to kind of learn with us to some degree, maybe some of the Facebook comments from today notwithstanding, the community is willing to come along with us on this journey. And so, hey, if it's not perfect in V1, look, that's not ideal, and the goal is to get it perfect, but sometimes things don't work perfectly. And if that happens, we don't want to put ourselves in a state where we've now created another challenge for our API partners. And
Mhm.
so we're really trying to think about, there's a display level where you can see sort of your treasures collection. You can see all the collections that you've got. You can see all the collections you've completed. That is essentially like a web view. And so people will be able to put that web view into their apps and show people like, hey, I want to see what treasures I have. I don't think that that's all that difficult. The award moment, having the pop-up timed right, you have to sort of poll our API to say, well, they just logged this, did they get a treasure? And even now there's some latency between everything that's happening, on our end and delivering it via API and in another app. And so, if they're sort of polling, did I get a treasure? Did I get a treasure? And they ask that 100 times. Well, one app, it's not a problem. If all the apps are doing that, do we end up with downtime because it's like a
Sure.
denial of service attack? I don't expect that, but those are the kind of considerations. So the end goal, make no mistake, is yes, we want treasures in Cachly. We want them in Project GC. We want them available to the API partners where it makes sense to do so. The timing of that is to be determined. And that's not to say that it won't be available at launch, but there's a chance that it may not be. And it's really more for the I don't know, trying not to create more problems for
Well,
partners
I
and
think that's the goal there,
geocachers.
Brian. And I think, honesty is the best thing we can hope for out of
Mhm.
HQ, and say, day one, if we can do it, we will. If not, we will release it to our API partners as soon as possible. We want everybody to play in the game. And I think that's a great answer. And I think the community
That's
can
the
appreciate
answer.
it.
Listen, if we
That's
can do it comfortably, it will be done. And I would say that that would be a very nice goal. If there's, significant concerns or, maybe more risk than we're willing to, we want this to go off well, especially at launch. Like if it falls
Course.
down on day one, that's not a win-win. And so, if we're comfortable enough to do it, then you bet we're going to do it. And if not, it'll be a fast follow because we really want to make sure that the systems are functional, things are doing what they're supposed to do, and like you said, it's honesty, but it's transparency. It's like, look,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is the reality, and if people have questions about that reality, why? Well, then the best thing I could do is tell you, like, here's how we're thinking about it. The more that the community understands how we're thinking about this, how we're planning for it, the easier it is for people to be on board and come along with us and give us the kind of feedback or hey, did you think about this or did you think about that? And that's something that's going to really help us be better at delivering the feature set.
Well, and I think about a company, there's a couple other little companies out by you. There's one called Apple and there's another one called Microsoft, and they make billions of dollars and
Never heard of
release
them.
bug infested applications. Now, I've never accused you guys of being a billion-dollar company, and you probably shake your head and said, no, you don't, you're not there yet. Right.
I wouldn't use the word yet, quite
Okay.
honestly. That's not really where we're looking to go.
All right.
We're
So
looking to do a lot more of
1.0
this.
might have a bug or two in it, but that's why 1.1 will come right after. Right.
I'd like to think that 1.0 won't have a bug. We've been working really hard, but that's my hope. Quite transparently, that's my hope. If that doesn't go off the way that we expect it to, well, then we're going to fix it and we'll figure out a way to go forward. I am a perennial optimist, and so I'm excited for early March. I don't even know, I don't know that we have a specific day in March. I think
I
we're
have not
planning
heard a
to.
day today at all. That
There,
it's
there
early
will be
March.
between now and launch. There will be more information coming out.
Sure.
The announcement for
Sure.
today was pretty light on the details, and I'm happy to fill in some of the gaps, but. Yeah, there's a marketing communications plan where we don't overwhelm people. We will try and bring the information to the community at the time that feels right and feels necessary.
Yeah. And we did have one question. Will collections be time limited?
They can be, but they
Okay.
don't have to be. And so, two things about the marketing promotion. That's a great question. The marketing promotions that we've done over the past many years, we announce it, there's a time limit, you get to play it, you can earn your souvenirs, whatever, and then it's done. And I can't go back and do Mystery at the Museum, even though I thought it was awesome. I can't go back and do Signals Labyrinth, even though I thought it was awesome. The collections don't have to be time limited. So part of the vision is that there's an abundance of collections that are available. And we're talking about mechanisms where you don't want it to be like, oh, there's 50 collections available, and every time you find a cache, you're getting a treasure. So it may be something where we say, hey, yeah, there's 50 collections available, but we're going to let you choose one to focus on, or let you choose two to focus on, or three to focus on. We haven't quite got there yet, but part of it is allowing people to join the game a year from now, play the intro collection, play through all the 2025 collections, and any new collection that we release since the time that they joined, and then after they joined. And so it's like it's something that can live on. And the other difference between the marketing promotions, like collecting gems with Mystery at the Museum, is these ones don't go away when the marketing promotion is done. These are in your collection. And I'll say at launch, you won't be able to see other people's collections. That's something we haven't built yet. We're going to do it. One of the things that I'd like to see, and I know that this is certainly consistent with some of the behavior that we see from geocachers, is like, hey, I got a treasure. Make it easy for HQ, make it easy for me to tell my friends on Facebook that I just got this treasure, or make it easy for me to tell my friends on Instagram that I got this treasure. That functionality is not there yet. Now, somebody mentioned Adventure Lab earlier, or the Labs platform. When we just released a bunch of months ago, sort of the postcards, like, I completed this adventure, and you can share your postcard out of what you did, and there's sharing functionality built in. Prior to that, we didn't have that functionality. And what did the community do? Well, they took a screen capture and they still posted it.
Shared it themselves. Yep.
We'll figure it out.
So exactly. So I expect that the community is going to show us what they want to see. They're going to do the kind of things that we expect them to do, and maybe some of the things that we don't expect them to do. And that's the beauty of what we all get to do together. Is like, listen, we're learning from the community, and the community is ideally getting the benefit of those learnings when we can share them at scale. And so that's how we're thinking about it. So getting to keep the treasures is really cool. Essentially, eventually, maybe getting to trade the treasures or getting to share the treasures with other people.
Yeah, that sounds really cool too.
It's and obviously no promises, but our intent is to get there, unless we learn something along the way that suggests that that's not a good idea. I haven't seen it yet, so it's like first things first. How do we get people acquainted with this? How do we help people decide for themselves that, wow, I do like collecting treasures. This is a new part of the game that I want to engage in. And, I can't wait for the next collection. Great. And then it's on us. How quickly can we produce these? How quickly can we put them out for the community? And for somebody who doesn't choose to engage, say for the first year, well, when you join it, there'll be more collections than you know what to do with for the first few months. And even doing something like, not that we're doing it yet, but having a lackey collection, that's not something that somebody's going to be able to do overnight. And I say that with an asterisk because I know some of you out there, and maybe you can, but I dare say that with all the knobs and sort of underlying functionality we have, we could make something that is effectively impossible. Obviously not what we're looking to do, but sort of how close to the edges can we get and still have this be really entertaining and engaging and fun for geocachers everywhere.
Well, and I know you mentioned that it might have been on the HQ podcast that some of the marketing promotions. I went out today and I found 30 caches and I've completed the task. And
Right,
I
there's
didn't
always
even
going to be
realize I was
someone.
doing it.
Yeah.
Part of me hopes that I can't complete a treasure on release day, that it takes me a day or two, or maybe a week to fill out my first treasure collection. But I'm an experienced cacher. I've been in the game since 2006. I've been there, done that. I still love this game a whole bunch. And to me today, it's more about the people and the events that I go to than it is that micro in the woods. I mean, God forbid you could find a place to put a bigger cache than a micro in the woods. But if I get a treasure for it, okay, maybe I can do that. But
And
I'm
and
excited.
really, like, on day one, those of you who, if you're listening to this podcast, you're an experienced cacher with
Yeah.
probably very few, if any, exceptions. If you want to go out and find 5 caches in one day that meet these requirements, you'll be able to complete the intro collection on day one. No
Mhm.
problem. I don't think that's all that difficult, but you won't be able to complete every collection on day one. And that's a fun promise to be able to make to the community. Like, yes, there's a challenge out there for all of you, and it's on us to deliver that. It's on us to create that combination lock of a collection that, whether it's a challenge regionally because you've already cashed out your local area and you're going to have to travel, or there's just a quantity that's like, all right, not a lot of people are going to go out and find, not just 95 caches if it's the lackeys, but once you introduce odds, well, then it's like, listen, I could find the same type of cache 5 times and still not get the treasure. What's the acceptable level of frustration among cachers? Because it's like, I'm not going to do this again. I hate treasures. I can't find this certain one. But when you find it, like, that moment, that eureka moment, that moment of delight is what we're looking to create for everybody. And building a one size fits all system makes that very hard to do. So this is not a one size fits all system.
Yeah.
And that's cool.
And, just the same as this community, Challenge Talk community, is so driven by holes in our statistics or seeing a challenge that someone thought of that we need to do a few more steps to complete. That's what you're going to see when you see an empty shelf for your collections. Yeah. And of course, this has been said several times in our chat, in Challenge Talk chat, will they be stats that we can use to build challenges?
So there will be stats on treasures. It's going to be at the beginning, you're going to know how many treasures you have and how many collections you've completed. Um, I would say at this time, because of all of the challenges with challenges, we don't have plans to allow people to build challenges based on treasures.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
not day one.
I don't want to disappoint anybody, but that's where we're at this point in time. I we're not actively discussing that. We're really just trying to bring this to market. And the near term and really midterm plan is to focus on creating collections that will be a challenge for folks. So, to get people out there trying to complete the collections and making them hard enough that people have to work to the level that they're comfortable working. And look, there's going to be some collections over time that people are going to say, hey, this is too hard for me. I'm not going to do that. I'll wait for a different collection. So the people who sort of want to complete them all, you're going to have to work for it. And that's you're welcome, because, no, you're welcome. We want you to work for it, because, it's much more rewarding if you've had to put in some time and effort to get what you're looking for. So
All right,
we're trying to put that out in front of people.
there you go. Well, here's a challenge for you, Bryan. I'm going to revisit in 3 years after after treasures are so popular and such an integral part of the game that we find a way to include them in the challenge caches.
3 years seems like a very reasonable amount of time to have that conversation.
Very good, very good.
But he didn't
Mark
say
this
challenge
date.
accepted, so
Right.
fair enough. We'll give it a go. All right, Bryan, we're really excited about this. I thank you for your time coming in and visiting with us and being able to share. And I know you're going to be sharing on a lot of podcasts this week. So
Indeed, it's a little bit of a press tour that I can't
Right?
say I've done before, but I got to speak with Sonny from Podcasher on Friday, and that was a ton of fun. And I got to speak with Christian Gallus from Geocaching Magazine 2 weeks ago, and it's all embargoed and whatever. And getting, it's a pleasure to come on this podcast and get to talk to everybody and answer questions and share my excitement, and just even to read the comments and see like the excitement. And I can't wait for us to put this out there and really see what people think and learn and make it better. And over time, the goal is to inspire outdoor adventure,
Right.
exploration, and community. That's our mission. And so this feels really consistent for us to be doing that. And so we hope you really enjoy it. And if you don't, Bryan at geocaching.com. That's my email.
there you go. Fair
Very
enough.
good.
And
Very good.
back in December when we were talking on the podcast about, I asked you about how you feel about challenge caching. And I was trying to find a way that we could have you on the show as a guest to talk about challenges. And you said it really wasn't your thing. It's not something you seek. And I'm like, oh man, how are we going to get him on the show? And then you came and asked if you could be on the show. What?
Well,
That's
so
great.
let me say that after our conversation, like it's not an element of the game that I focus on personally. And
Fair enough.
the biggest element of the game that I focus on, believe it or not, is the business of geocaching. It's the, I have 2,500 cache finds, quite a few drafts that some of which are older than I care to admit, but like everybody participates differently. Like
Yeah.
for 24 years, this is such a significant part of my life, working with the lackeys here on trying to deliver this platform, working with folks like you and the community members to try and make sure that this is something that people get to enjoy. After our conversation, I went and I did a little bit of research, and I said, what challenges are around here that I qualify for? And there's a few of them, which was really cool. And so 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, maybe it was 3 weeks ago, I went out with my dog and we walked. It was like 4.5 miles that day, but I found it was I think it was called like 100 t-shirt challenge or a 200 and it was
Yeah.
like souvenirs or whatever. And it's walking distance from my house. It's not close, but it's still, everything's walking distance if you're hardy enough, I guess. But I was like, all right, me and my dog went out and I found the cache. And I was like, here's this cache that's been sitting there for years. And I just, I looked at it and it's like, all right, well, I don't know if I qualify. I don't know if I don't. So I went to Project GC and sure enough, I did. And so I did a challenge cache and I really enjoyed it.
Fabulous.
And I dare say if I ever retire, I will be caching a whole lot more, and challenge caches will be part of what I do. So
All right.
I enjoyed it, but I was inspired by our conversation. I didn't think about it. Like, at the time. I didn't know I was coming on this podcast, but now that I'm here, like I'm like, glad I found at least one.
Glad I
of
looked
them to
into
talk
that.
That's fine. And you said that everybody plays the game differramely. And,
Everybody plays it.
yeah, Gia's got you.
I'm at HQ. I don't have my dog. I know Gia, and here I am at HQ, surrounded by some extraordinary cachers like Gia and Gear Guru and JT Coffee and Rock Chalk and Mountain Bike and all these other folks, and it's like, I appreciate the way that they cache, and I'm learning from them. It's
you need to step up your game.
I need to step up my game. I need a little bit more time in each day, but we'll get there eventually. And for right now, I'm just super excited to see, here's this thing we've been working on for a really long time. There's a lot of folks who have contributed to this project, Gia in particular, on the marketing side, on the engineering side, the design side, the product team side, and more. And it's really exciting to see something that we've built. This is like the baby that we're going to show off to people, and just to know that it has the potential to bring more joy to this global community, and that we can deliver it to people all around the world, and hopefully generate some excitement, some more eureka moments, maybe make Tim enjoy another micro cache or two. There's potential there. We're going to do it. And
there is potential,
there is plenty of potential. So we hope you all enjoy it. Like, we're gonna want to hear your feedback. A lot of us are reading the Facebook comments and in the different Facebook groups, and so tell us what you think. And for those of you who are like, I hate this idea already, maybe hold off on the judgment until you see it. And if you hate it then, well, you still don't have to do it. There's nothing stopping anybody from playing the way that they want to play. So by all means, go do it. And if this adds something, we'd love to know it, because, obviously getting some positive feedback helps too. But whatever you have to say, and ideas for collections, once you see the first couple of collections, invariably every lackey here is like, oh, I have an idea for a collection. I have 10 ideas for collections. ChatGPT has an unlimited idea list of collections. And so there's a lot of fun stuff coming. So thank you so much for having me, and the audience. Really appreciate the comments and the feedback and seeing all the familiar faces. And hopefully I get to see you all in 2025, and we can go do some geocaching and find some treasures together.
Maybe get a treasure from meeting you.
Yeah, we could.
It's a future possibility.
There you go.
All right.
Well, we certainly have enough
opportunities
for it. Again, thank you for taking your time out of your day, Bryan, to be with us.
Greatly
appreciate it. And you've seen the love you get from the audience, in the chat room, and so.
Thanks, everybody. Really, really appreciate it. And yeah, look forward to bringing this to the community. And that's it. I'm excited.
And you've managed to shoot our show to crap, because we're 50 minutes into a 1 hour show.
Oh,
what are we going to do now? We do have a little bit more show. We're going to run long. You are welcome to stay with us as always. And if you need to run, we understand.
You need to get home for dinner.
There you go.
I do. We have dinner guests at our house today.
Oh no!
And it was a calendaring snafu by me, and Heidi was very understanding, and so I said, "Hey, I'm going to be home a little late tonight, but that's all good. It's great. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So much. It's
Thank you,
amazing
audience.
to hear about
Have a
this
great
in
night.
person.
Happy geocaching, everybody. Cheers.
Thank you. All right. That was so
Woo!
great to hear all about it straight from Bryan's mouth. So much more amazing than reading about it. No shade to the blog, but after reading the blog and then getting to hear about it, it is so incredibly exciting. So
Yeah.
loved that. Thank you
And
for
again,
coming
it's
on,
not,
Bryan.
this is not exciting and interesting for everyone, but
Right.
I
But
think a lot of people are going to
I'm
be
in.
excited about it. I
Yeah.
am too. I mean, new people come into the game all the time.
Yeah.
And, it's another way to add that piece of excitement. So, what do you say we get on with the rest of our show?
Let's do it. Let's talk about let's highlight the highlights.
So, how was your month last month?
Oh, very good. I'll give you a quick rundown. My first cache of the year was a challenge cache. Wasn't planning on it. That was a happy accident. Super good. I just celebrated my 19th geocaching
What?
anniversary on Saturday. That was great. Didn't have to fit in a cache between work and sundown because it was a Saturday. Loved that. So yeah, it's been a good month. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, I want to shout out to GSM times two. He had an extra community celebration event that he loaned out to me or adopted out to me. So I now have my two, which was great. I attended the December Hiders meeting in Indiana where I got to re-meet Sean Witchy. And it was really good event talking about challenge caches and how to hide them. And we had some very new challengers that didn't know what a challenge cache was or how to hide them. So we had a very nice night, probably about 15 to 20 people that were there. That was great. Um, Geo Woodstock, the ambassadorship there. I just wanted to let everybody know we are at 2,778 will attends. We're only 222 away from that magic number. But probably more important is that registration, which go along with the will attend. That's your name badge, and you can pick up your swag and things like that. The swag and registration closes on January the 31st. They got to have time to order this stuff. So you need to get your order in. You can only procrastinate for a few more days. Get it in. That's the next important milestone, more so than whether this is going to go giga. There's no question this is no longer going to be a mega event. It's going to be bigger.
Cool.
The question now is, will you get your swag on time?
All right. Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. So that's
And
my month.
yeah, good. And speaking of reminders, like something to remember, but also news. I'm looking
What?
for the picture. I'm trying to find it. Here we go.
Oh, there we go.
Guess who's back?
What's the pizza?
And
It's a pizza show?
it's a pizza show. It is Gadget Talk.
Gadget Talk. That's
With
not on the screen. Where'd you get this one from? It's not there.
Bounce Bounce.
It must be
And
Bounce
Pizza
Bounce
Ninja.
and the Pizza Ninja.
Isn't that great? So
There
Gadget
you
Talk
go.
will be
Now I
back
get it.
next Tuesday, January 21st, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Stay tuned. You can catch it on the Geocache Talk Network, as always, as all of
Yeah,
our shows.
that is cool. And
Yeah, that's great.
I saw another reminder from Starcacher that the virtual rewards, that program ends on Friday. So you
Don't
need to
forget
get
to
your
submit one
virtual
if you have
reward
one.
submitted
Yeah.
by Friday if you got one.
All right, Tim, this next piece of news, huge, huge for me. And I had trouble figuring out what to do. So we're going to put a few short instructions in the show notes. Tamper Monkey, which I don't know my words, the correct words. It allows the Project GC interfacing, the Cache Tour interfacing with your geocaching.com website. However, all that interfacing works and these tools work together require a Tamper Monkey add-on. Things have changed. You need to change a setting in your Google Chrome for it to work. Tim taught me how to do it before the show. I am so glad it's back. I missed it so badly. So the short of it is developer mode needs to be turned on in your Chrome settings, and we'll put some additional information in the show notes that you can reference. And breathe a sigh of relief like me that it's back.
Phew, it's not hard. It's not hard, but they
It's
buried
not
it.
hard. I just couldn't find it on my own.
Yeah. So, yep, nope. And Tamper Murky works, and it was broken for a while, and yeah, it took me a while to figure it out as well. So that's
Yeah.
that's a good thing that will help a lot of people.
That's right.
I'm going to dispense with the stats tonight because we really didn't do much except that Indiana went from number 11 to number 8. I think Sean had something to do with that with his challenge hider kind of event.
Fabulous.
So,
Fabulous.
well
Love
done,
it. Thank
Indiana.
you. Good job, guys. All right. So our topic tonight, and we'll give credit where credit's due. We'll see how we go on time here. But we wanted to tell you guys about things our community members have achieved in the past year in the area of challenge hides, because you guys did some pretty neat things. In addition to you guys telling us what challenges you found, we sometimes hear about what you've hidden, and we wanted to share that. We also asked you to hide a challenge cache as a part of our Cache Fest pre-event passport, and you did that. So we want to share some of the neat challenges we have heard about. So this first one is hidden by O to be hiking. And we're going to, for you audio listeners, we're going to pop their pictures up on the screen so our video listeners can see who we're talking about, our fabulous community. So this is my friend Kitty. She used to live in Oregon. She's now in Colorado, I believe. And this is her challenge, non-traditionals or non-trads and large 300 points challenge. And again, like always, we're going to link all of these in the show notes. GCAZXYG. You need to find multis, unknowns, events, CETOs, letterbox hybrids, earth caches, where-I-goes, virtuals, and large traditionals on enough different days to get 300 points. And then the cache page gives a lot of additional information on those points. There's a few limits on using the same calendar day and how many times you can do it based on the different types you find on that calendar day. So this is a really good example of a kind of a multi-level.
This one's pretty complicated.
It's complicated, and yet we found that we qualified.
Yeah.
So, but you got to wrap your head around, if I qualified, how did I do that? But it's a good one. So it's fun to check out. It's fun to twist your brain around it, kind of like Cheeky Brit's Grid Busters. So take some time to yourself and look at this and figure out what she's done there. She had some really unique, kind of layered challenges, good things to get inspired by.
There you go. And the next one is from our friend Bloody Cool.
Yeah, Bloody Cool is there in the penguin hat in that picture. There's a person in a penguin hat and a person not in a penguin hat.
And I need to do this rather than what I read done. This is the way down south with the penguins challenge cache, GCAT0CX. And the picture that you brought up came from the cache page. This is to find one cache in Antarctica. So you got to go to that continent to pick it up. And
So
I
just
know
one,
this
right?
is one I
Just
don't
one puts it on the map, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So this is a really cool challenge from Bloody Cool.
That's great.
Pun intended.
Absolutely love it. All right. Our next submission is from B&J Bish, Brad and Jen. And I picked a picture of them at a library. Jen works at a library and Jen is helping me because I'm meeting with a library program coordinator this week. Going to try to introduce some community library assets, things like that. So thanks to Jen for helping me out with some of that. And they hid 525,600 minutes challenge. So this is a musical inspired challenge, a fabulous geocaching song to explain a challenge to streak for 1 year. 525,600 minutes.
All right.
Love it. Well done, you guys. Very creative.
You know, and the basis for this really was last year at Cache Fest. We asked you as part of the challenge trail to hide a challenge cache.
Mhm.
And so these are ones from people who did hide one. So they scored the points for Cache Fest. That's
Yeah.
how we came up with these. We didn't just kind of look them up. So Uwisty is our next submission.
And this is a
G-
picture of her and
there we
Pizza
go.
Boy 2600.
GCB 1 PR 6. There must be 50 ways to find a geocache challenge. There's a music theme here, I think. So she's got that one. Where's this one from? This one's in Arkansas.
Yeah. It says, so 50 finds on the first, 50 on the second, and so on. Cool. Very cool. Challenging too. What's that rated, Tim?
That's a 36.
Oh, that's it? Wow.
That's not too hard on the scale.
Very cool. And yes, more music. This next one is from Sims Quest. This is a few of my favorite things a challenge cache. And so she wrote a twist on a favorite things song based on her favorite things to go geocaching for. I like that. She just took her own inspiration, you know, like I like this, so you go find it too. That is fabulous. Love that.
The next one, Jedi Trash Panda.
Yes.
Oh, I love that graphic.
This is Jedi Trash Panda for you.
I have no idea if that's realistic or not. I haven't met him, I don't think. So, but he came up with GCAQXKA, the Big City Cacher Challenge. 25 largest caches. Your goal is to find at least 10 of the 25 counties home to the largest cities in America. And so he's got a number of states here. Some cities on the list, Chicago and Dallas, have a small portion that go into neighboring counties, and there's some rules on that. So that one looks pretty good. It's a pretty easy challenge.
Yeah, and also
he has a 60.
Yeah, and he has a step up too. That one's 10, and he has a 15 challenge.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. This next challenge is hidden by Ron Swanson with a little help from Cache Sleuth. And this is all the bacon and eggs challenge. And so just like Ron loves large amounts of eggs and bacon, I too love finding large caches. Your task is to find 6 different cache types that have a large size. And the cache page includes how it could be easy for 5, but maybe not that 6th. It was very interesting to me when I ran this checker. Some of the old finds that I have were unexpectedly labeled as a large. So wait, did I say large? Is that what we're talking about?
That's
yeah,
what
large.
you said.
Sorry, I got confused. So yeah, very interesting again to check. Sometimes when I run a checker, I learn things that just make me go, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and now you made me, I got to do it. Hey, all right. I do have.
Do you have any interesting surprises, like events that are labeled as large or?
No, I have a Where I Go, an Unknown, a Traditional, the Project Ape Cache, Multi-Cache, Letterbox, and Earth Cache. Earth Cache, I guess.
Yeah, right? That was another surprise for me.
Tagged as a large.
Yeah, I had a large event. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah. Huh. Cool. All right, just finding our way. I saw him there a minute ago. There he is.
There he is.
He sent in he placed GCAT 5FZ. This is Peachy's Road Trip Challenge.
This is actually Peachy 1276's challenge.
Oh, it is?
Yes, and I'll pop her picture up.
Did I get that wrong?
Yes, that's okay.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Did I get that wrong?
That's all right.
Oh, he's the travel physic. Oh, looks like I missed a couple of them in here in our list. Oops. Sorry about that. All right. Well, Peachy's Road Trip, you have to find a bunch of attributes. This one's an 82 on the difficulty scale. You need 2,000 park and grabs, 1,500 restrooms available, 1,000 food, and 500 fuel. So that's a tough challenge.
Cool. Very cool. She's on the road to everywhere. So
She is.
that doesn't surprise me.
All
All
right.
right. And we can, even if you don't have it pulled up, I'll pull Just Finding Our Ways picture up again. And
Sure.
he hid the Traveler's Fizzy Challenge. This was to fill the DT Fizzy grid. But each cache used in the grid must be located in a different U.S. county or county equivalent. So really stepping up the difficulty level
Yeah,
there.
it is.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
All
And then
right.
this is
Is that
Soccer
soccer kicks?
Mm-hmm.
Because I
This
missed
is
her too.
okay. So she hid the Geocache Exertion Challenge, difficulty 5. She says, "I enjoy finding and signing challenge caches. I really enjoy signing those that I don't yet qualify for, and then working towards completion of the challenge. To that end, I wanted to put out a challenge that was challenging, so enjoy or not." And then you can go to the cache page again. We'll link everything, and you can see. I love that attitude, though. Take it, leave it. I put it out here.
There
Come
you
find it
go.
if you want.
And you know what? Here's a great comment from Starcacher Jim. You know, when we talk about challenges, we hope to inspire, as we did
Mhm.
Bryan. We hope to give you something to challenge yourself. And he's like, he does that. He writes them down, but he's going to have to go through this show one or two times to figure everything out.
Yeah, some of these are not the easiest challenge to just look at and even understand, let alone achieve.
I know. All right. So the next one I have up here is from the Geocaching Ninja.
Yes,
And
you
there
will
he
know
is
him
climbing
as
the
the guy
wall.
who climbs things. So,
So a
yeah.
very social, you need to come up with 100 event caches. This one's GCATJPJ. I wonder if you can do it in your PJs. But yes, attending 100 events.
Yeah,
So they can be
great.
any kind of event. That's a pretty cool one. I like that.
Mhm,
I like
mhm.
events.
For sure. And this one is that a 50 difficulty? So that just kind of shows
Yeah,
you that events aren't everyone's cup of tea. And so it kind of raises the difficulty on that. Maybe
it
for
does.
us, we enjoy each other so much. We're always meeting for this show. But so maybe it's easier for us. But yeah, that was interesting to me. And then we do have a submission from a cheeky Brit.
Oh, there's a surprise.
That's great. This one is on my to-do list. I need to go to Idaho and do this challenge every month challenge, Hall of Fame. You need to find a challenge cache on each of the 12 months. Tim, this is why I need to go. The final container is 500 gallons and you climb inside it.
Oh my goodness.
There is a paper logbook, but everyone's encouraged to optionally sign the walls of the container in Sharpie. And the whole thing is buried in their yard at ground level like a root cellar of white polypropylene, he says.
Oh, wow.
But wait, there's more. There is a padlock to overcome. People have the option of climbing our tree nets. They have tree nets, some 30 odd feet up a crimson maple tree to find the lock combo, or a ball and rope puzzle. You need to undo the rope ball puzzle for the key on the end of the rope to be long enough to reach the padlock of the container that lowers down from the tree so you can unlock it and see the lock combination inside. So you can use smarts or agility to get there. This sounds like Survivor.
Wow, that sounds like fun. And he's got a
I love
Hall of
it.
Fame listed on the cache page as well. So well done, Cheeky Brett.
That's great. So I know we were quick. Again, check out our show notes because these are all great challenges. We appreciate all of you. Thank you for adding to the community as a whole with your hides. Stay tuned. We're talking about Cache Fest 2025 and what we have in store to ask you to do.
No beans yet. No
That's
beans
all we're going to
going.
say tonight, but maybe you
Okay.
should start thinking about challenge caches.
You know, hopefully people are making their plans to go and we can see that. So let's see if I can find.
Are you talking about the Wheel of Challenges?
You know, I was, but I was trying to find the media asset that.
Hi, I'm Fox and the Hound, actual name Chris Mackey. I'm from Carbondale, Pennsylvania, and it's time for the Wheel of Challenges.
So yes, I mean, how can we do a show and not include the wheel? We have to
That's
include the
right. We are going to play the Wheel of Challenges. Get your email app ready. One live viewer each month will be selected to face off against the wheel to have a chance to win the coveted grand prize. So email challengetalkpodcast@gmail.com with the subject spin me and your geocaching username in brackets with your answer to the following question if you haven't already won 3 times. And your question is, what is the name of the new game feature being introduced by HQ?
Ooh. But it
And I'm
needs
going
to
to
be
go
the
over
correct
to the
name, right?
correct name. I'm
Okay.
looking for correct names. Yes.
All right. Well, we'll do that. I think, tonight we're probably going to shortly end the show after we do the
Mhm.
wheel. So the people that have submitted challenges over the month while you watch the email as we go, I'm going to do my song and dance while I do
Mhm.
that. But Sims Quest, Bloody Cool, Cheeky Brit, Tyrone Shoelaces. We haven't seen Tyrone in a while. And Starcasher, along with Roadie Guy, each submitted challenges this month. And, you can submit challenges by going to Challenge Talk Podcast at gmail.com. We love to know what you've done, where you've gone, because we get inspired by the challenges that you find as well. So we won't bring them up tonight, but we did want to recognize that those people sent in challenges, and our random wheel spun and spun, and this month's winner of our coveted path tag is Mr. Tyrone Shoelaces.
Congratulations. We'll be in touch. And Tim, one thing I did want to mention from
Oh,
those submissions, Sims Quest
yes.
found her submission was inspired by our show. Her find was inspired by her show.
Okay.
She said this was a part of a geocaching accomplishment thanks to inspiration from the show. I live in Maryland, about 90 minutes south of Delaware. When I heard on an earlier show that Delaware only had 13 challenge caches, I wondered why I hadn't found them all. I took a drive up last week and grabbed the remaining 6 challenge caches that I needed. So now I can say I have found and qualified for all the challenge caches in a state. Is there a challenge for that?
There could be, but I'm going to issue a different challenge. Someone in Delaware needs to put out more challenges.
There you go. So this is exactly what we're talking about. Send in your finds. You never know how it's going to inspire. Thank you. That was great. Thanks, Sims Quest.
That was.
All right. So you
We have
all
a
want to
winner?
know who was our first correct answerer? And it's Starcasher.
All right.
All right. So let's spin that wheel and see if he qualifies.
So Starcasher's been a pretty prolific. Oh boy.
Finish that thought, Tim. Pretty prolific.
Well, he's a pretty prolific challenge cacher. Sorry, I got distracted by the 5.
Right.
The
So we'll
doctoral
see.
degree
Is he
is
5-star prolific? We have come up with GC 5CRR3 doctoral degree in geocaching challenge cache.
This is a challenge cache with 125 favorite points in Ohio that I qualify for. And in a university, there's a whole bunch of things you have to do. You find things, you get points, and along the way, you build your doctorate degree.
Love that.
And type in Starcasher. I'm pretty sure he's going to qualify if he hasn't already found this one.
Oh,
He does not. I'm
Oh.
stunned.
How close? How close?
He has 33 points. He's got a lot of zeros in here. The nice thing about this particular checker is it lays everything out so you can see how many points you have. Hasn't found a lot of current caches. There's too much to go.
Too much information to
Too
figure
much-
it out.
Too much
Well,
information, but he's
Jim,
got a
you're-
couple of grids completed. I'm sorry, Jim. You're close. Here's something to go for.
Very close. Oh, well, thank you for playing anyways. We appreciate it. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being flexible with us on this show. It was so much fun to have Bryan and yet touch on some of our regular topics. So any other thoughts, Tim?
Oh, this year is going to be an exceptional, fun year.
How about it?
Some stats that we didn't talk about that we'll just take a moment. There are 19 very special events taking place in the United States this year. There's at least 4 megas. One of those might be a bigger event than a mega. 2 adventure maze and 13 block parties already released between now and October. So I
Yeah,
know
so that's a
there's no
so far stat.
that's
Yeah.
just so far, yeah.
Mhm.
There are 154 community celebration events
Nice.
taking place
And
this year.
so many more to be set out there, I'm sure.
That's right. Oh, and you know what? I do have one more thing I want to bring up because this is kind of important to all of our listeners and watchers, because this is something that I learned about from HQ. If you were part of Podcast of Hope, you saw me ask Bryan about an easy way to find community celebration events, because when you do a search, you can only search on events.
Mm-hmm.
I found a way to do this.
Mm.
So I pre-brought up the search filter. This is just a standard search filter, and I'm going to look in the United States, and I'm going to look for regular events, and I'm going to say go. And when you do this, you will see that there's 1,013 or 1,352 events. Some of them have passed, some of them are regular events. If you look up in the search bar, the URL bar, you will see that there is something called a CT equals. And the CT, if it equals 6153, that's an important number, 6153. That is the cache type for community celebration events. And of course, because I want to do it, it's not going to do it appropriately.
No pressure, right?
That's how I did it earlier today. So you have to look at the URL. There's the 1352. Let me change that again. I'm working strictly in the address bar. A little bit more technical, but it's not going to do it. Anyway, if you do this when you're not
Play around with it if you're inclined, yes.
live and on a show, it will show you just the community celebration events. So it's a way that HQ put this together. You can go into your notification settings and you can set your notifiers for oh, and Gia says I got it wrong. It's 3653. Thank you, Gia. And it still doesn't want to work.
The pressure of live. But that's your number, 6353 to play around with in the URL.
Right. Yep. So you can go and do that. So that's a cache type. And Jeff told me, Guru told me that Gia was pretty instrumental in doing that. So thanks,
Gia.
So we appreciate that. So that was one of my closing thoughts. That's all I've got.
Very good. And I'm just going to tease the smallest tease. Next month's going to be great.
Next month will be awesome.
February show. Don't miss it.
So again, lots of things coming up. Our next show is the second Tuesday of February, which is when?
The 11th. I can't wait for February 11th, guys.
All right. And so as you see us out and about, remember.
I'm B Genius. I'm from Tampa, Florida. Challenge accepted.
Cache Addict Mel from Charlotte, North Carolina. Challenge completed.
One of the two of those. So thank you. Thank you to Bryan again. Thank you to all of our patrons, our listeners, our followers. Thank you for being a part of our community. do remember that it's not about the challenge, not about the numbers. Come on, get this right, Tim Reed. It's not about the numbers. It's about the challenge.
Challenge accepted.
Good
Thank
night,
you,
everybody.
everyone. Good night.